This video is going to show you how to do arithmetic and geometric sequences. This is what we did on Thursday, April 7th. So the first thing that we learned is that an arithmetic sequence. A sequence of numbers is called arithmetic sequence if the difference of any two consecutive terms is constant. This difference is called the common difference, and we denote the common difference with the letter D. So what all of this really means is I'm trying to figure out how to get from 2 to 6 to 10 to 14 to 18. I'm trying to see, is there one number that I'm adding or subtracting to get to each number? Well, from 2 to 6 is plus 4. From 6 to 10 is plus 4, plus 4, plus 4, plus 4. So this would be an arithmetic sequence, and the common difference would be 4. So if you can add or subtract to get the next number, we're going to call it an arithmetic sequence. Arithmetic sequences have a formula. The formula says to find any term in the sequence, you take the first term and you add that term number minus 1 times the common difference. The second sequence that we learned about was called a geometric sequence. A sequence of numbers is called geometric if the ratio of any two consecutive terms is constant. The ratio is called the common ratio, and we're going to denote that with the letter R. This time, instead of adding or subtracting to get to the next number, we're going to multiply by the same thing each time to get to the next number. So 1 times what is 3? 1 times 3. 3 times 3 is 9. 9 times 3 is 27. 27 times 3 is 81. So this one is geometric because I'm multiplying by the same number over and over to get to the next term, and that common ratio is 3. So let's compare them one more time. Arithmetic is when we add to get to the next number. Geometric is when we multiply to get to the next number. Geometric sequences have a different formula. This formula says to get any term in a geometric sequence, you take the first term, you multiply it by the ratio, and you raise it to the term number minus 1. So on the test, you might see some problems like this where they ask you, decide if it's arithmetic or geometric. If it's arithmetic, give the common difference. If it's geometric, give the common ratio. I always check to see if it's arithmetic first. How can I get from 17 to 10 by adding or subtracting? Well, I could subtract 7. If I subtract 7 from 10, do I still get 3? Yes, 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 yes. So this would be arithmetic. I just label it with an A. And the common difference is negative 7. Okay? This sequence is going A plus D, A plus 2D, A plus 3D, A plus 4D. So am I adding something to each term to get to the next one? Yes, I am. In fact, I'm adding 1D each time. So the common difference is 1D. What would I have to add or subtract from 64 to get to 32? Well, let's go check that out. So if I wanted to know what I'm going to have to do, I would subtract the two numbers. And we find out that I would have to subtract 96. Well, if I subtract 96 from negative 32, do I get 16? No. So this is not arithmetic. Let's check to see if it's geometric. What could I multiply 64 by to get 32? Well, it'd have to be a fraction. So 64 times, let's see if 1/2 works. Oh, yeah, except that I got a positive 32 and we wanted a negative 32. So let's do 64 times negative 1/2. Negative 32. Now let's do negative 32 times negative 1/2. 16. We'll do 16 times negative 1/2. You get negative 8. So we can see that this is geometric. And this time my common ratio, not difference, my common ratio is negative 1/2. You could also write negative 0.5. Either one is fine. On your test, you will also have to be able to find the formula for the nth term of a sequence. In order to find the formula for the nth term of a sequence, the first thing you have to do is decide if it's arithmetic or if it's geometric. So how am I getting from 3 to 5 to 7? It's arithmetic, and my common difference is I'm adding 2 each time, so it's plus 2. So to find the nth term, I have to use my arithmetic formula, which we saw earlier. It said take t1 plus n minus 1 and multiply it by the common difference. So I'm going to plug into that formula. So my first term is 3 plus n minus 1 times d, and my d is 2. Now we have to simplify it, so we're going to distribute through. So 3 plus 2n minus 2. And then I need to combine like terms. So tn equals 2n, and then 3 minus 2 is plus 1. So that is my formula for the nth term. Now that I have the formula, I can go do part B. Part B wants me to find the 30th term. This little number down here tells me what term. That means n equals 30. So this tiny number down here is your n. I have an equation that I can use to solve. So the 30th term equals 2 times n, my n is 30, plus 1. Well, 2 times 30 is 60, plus 1 is 61. Part C. How many terms are in the sequence if the first term is 3 and the last term is 235? So this time, we're going to go solve for how many terms. When they're asking you how many terms, they're really asking you what is n. So if I want n, I have to know the first term and I have to know my last term. I have my equation up here. I'm going to use this equation right here. So 235 is my last term and 3 is my first term. So all I have to do is plug into this equation. So instead of writing Tn, I'm going to write 235 equals 2 times n, I don't know n, plus 1. And then I'm going to go solve. So I'm going to minus 1 from both sides and get 234 equals 2n. And then I'm going to divide both sides by 2. And how many times will 2 go into 234? 117 times. Let me just double check. Yep, my math is right. That was example 2. We're going to do it one more time. This time the sequence we're dealing with is 3, 4.5, and 6.75. I always check to see if it's arithmetic first. So 3 plus what is 4.5? Well, 1.5. 3 plus 1.5 is 4.5. Is 4.5 plus 1.5 going to give me 6.75? Nope. So it's not arithmetic. So it's either geometric or neither. To see if it's geometric, the quick way to do is to take these two terms and divide them. So 4.5 divided by 3 tells me my ratio is 1.5. If I multiply 4.5 times 1.5, do I get 6.75? Yes, I do. So we know it's geometric. And we just found out our R was 1.5. That's what I was multiplying by. You can also write 3/2, whichever one you're more comfortable with. So to write my formula, the one that we saw earlier said any term n can be found by doing T1 times the ratio raised to the n minus 1 power. So here we go. Any term can be found by writing down the first term, which is 3, multiplying it by my r, which is 1.5, and raising it to the n minus 1 power. All right, we cannot leave this as the n minus 1 power. Kind of like earlier when we distributed, or when we were doing this problem right here, we distributed right here. We're going to break this down into a fraction. So we're going to go rewrite this as 3 times 1.5 to the n over 1.5 to the first. We can do this because we know if you have like bases and you're dividing, it's the same as subtracting the exponents. So these are equivalent. It's just another way to write it. So I have 3 over 1 times 1.5n over 1.5. So I'm just going to write it as one big fraction. Now I can see that I have a coefficient on top and I have a coefficient on the bottom. And I can actually take these two and divide them. So 3 divided by 1.5 is 2. And then I still have this times 1.5 to the n. So your final equation is 2 times 1.5 to the n power. And we're going to use this equation to do part B. Part B wants me to find the 30th term. So I'm going to have 2 times 1.5 raised to the n. My n is 30. And all I have to do is type that in my calculator, and we're going to get a big old number. So 2 times 1.5 raised to the 30th. And we're going to write that whole number down. So you're going to write down 383502.1185. In example 4, they ask me to find the 20th term. But they don't give me the first term and they don't give me the common difference. So instead, I have to go find those. They do tell me that when n is equal to 8, Tn equals 25. They also tell me that when n is equal to 13, that Tn equals 40. So what we're going to do is we're going to plug into our arithmetic equation. And we're going to see what happens. Alrighty, so I know Tn is 25 for the first set of information. I don't know T1. I know what my n is. My n is 8, but I don't know D. So I have 25 equals T1 plus 7D. Okay. Over here, I've got 40 equals T1 plus, this term right here is 13 minus 1 times D. So I'm going to simplify that, and I get T1 plus 12D. Alright, so what we have here is a good old-fashioned system of equations. To solve a system, we can do elimination and we can do substitution. After doing this with most of my classes, y'all are most comfortable with substitution. So I'm going to come over here to this first equation, and I'm going to solve it for t. So to get t by itself, I'm going to subtract, and I get 25 minus 7d equals t. Now I'm going to take this equation, and I'm going to go plug it in right here for t. So we get 40 equals 25 minus 7d, and I'm going to bring down my plus 12d. So I'm going to combine like terms, and I get 40 equals 25 plus 5d. I'm going to subtract 25 from both sides and get 15 equals 5d, and find out that my common difference is going to be 3. So now that I have my common difference, I just need to find my first term. Well, that's real easy because I have an equation right here. It says 25 minus 7 times d will give me my first term. So 25 minus 7 times my d is 3. 7 times 3 is 21. 25 take away 21 is 4. So my first term is 4. All right, so we had to do all of this to answer the original question. The original question wanted me to find the 20th term. So now I'm going to go answer it. To find the 20th term, my equation says you write down your first term, which I know now, plus n minus 1, well my n is 20, and I multiply it by my d, which is 3. Then you just go type it in your calculator. So 4 plus parentheses 20 minus 1 times 3. We find out that my answer is 61. We did one more example. It's the same type of problem, but this time it's for a geometric sequence. So I know that n is 3 and Tn is 12. I know n is 6 and another Tn is 96. So again, I'm going to write two equations. I'm going to have a system. So my geometric equation says you take your first term, you multiply it by your ratio, and you raise it to the n minus 1. So Tn, my first Tn is 12. I don't know the first term. I don't know my ratio, but I can raise it to the n minus 1. N is 3. 3 minus 1 is 2. That's my first equation. Let me do it again over here. So I'm going to have 96 equals t to the first, we don't know, t1 times r, and I'm going to raise it to the n minus 1. N is 6. 6 minus 1 is 5. Again, we're going to do substitution. So I'm going to solve this equation over here for t. This is t times r squared. So we're going to divide by r squared. So t1 is going to equal 12 divided by r squared. So I'm going to take this, and I'm going to plug it in to this equation right there. So I have 96 equals 12 over r squared times, I'm going to bring this one down, r to the 5th. It's like it's over 1. If I have an r to the 5th on top and an r to the 3rd on the bottom, those cancel out. And we have 96 equals 12 r to the 3rd. Because 5 take away 2 is 3. Now we're going to divide by 12. And we have r to the 3rd equals 8. So how do I get r? We take the cube root of 8. And the cube root of 8 is 2. Okay, now I know what r is. I still have to find my t1. Well, lucky for us, we have an equation right here. It says t1 is going to equal 12 over r squared. But r is 2. So I have 12 over 2 squared is 4. Which is, I don't know why I wrote that extra one, 3. Okay, so now that I know t1 and I know r, I can go find what they asked for, which was the 11th term. So the equation says that we write down the first term, which is 3, times r, which is 2, and we raise it to the n minus 1. My n is 11, so I'm going to raise it to the 10th, and then I'm going to go to my calculator. 3 times 2 raised to the 10th power. So my answer is 3072. So that's what we did on Thursday after the test, and then I passed out the homework assignment. The homework assignment was worksheet 3-1. We did get rid of a couple problems. We got rid of number 7. We got rid of number 23 and number 27. And I also made number 42 a bonus. All right, come see me in tutoring if you have questions. Remember, the test is next Thursday.